you know about Pepperdine?
All right, we're ready. Wait, why
Just
now?
their field.
It's pretty.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
You're talking about fields on the ocean.
Yeah.
So, good.
Yep.
Good. Perfect. First weekend, and it feels like forever that you guys weren't traveling or playing a game. So how good was it that you guys got a little bit of break and a little time off, especially after such a brutal pre-conference schedule?
Yeah, long trip. Definitely grateful to be back in Abilene, having a little bit of time at home, a couple weeks at home actually in the grand scheme of things. So that's exciting. Definitely was good to get some rest, to recover. They've obviously had a long preseason, and then, like I said, just coming off a week-long road trip and playing some really top competition. So, yeah, looking forward to the week ahead, looking forward to conference. I think it was great coming off that win at Utah and just the momentum it's going to carry us into conference and just seeing what they're capable of. You know, we finally put it all together, and it was great to see the result on the other side, of course, and just hopeful that it encourages them that they are capable of something even more than they think that they are at times.
That actually brings me to my next question. Able to pick up a road win against a solid Utah team who's receiving votes right now,
Sure.
being a top 25. How important was it that you got that win, and then it came kind of at the end of that trip, so you guys go into this break and then the start of WAC play with some confidence?
Yeah, timing is everything, you know. Timing, I tell them all the time, timing in life, timing in hitting. I mean, all of it happens for a reason at the right time. So it was awesome. Just so proud of them. But most importantly, just treating it like a series, you know, those 3 games. And so not wanting to get swept in a series and the powers and the response. And they believed that. And they came out and played to their ability. And that was exciting to see. I mean, Sienna had a phenomenal day. I just heard the top of the lineup when she gets on, and we're just able to produce runs off of her speed. And that's ultimately, you know, she sets the tone. And so from the get-go, when she got on base, I was like, oh, this is going to be a good day for us. And Ari continues to hit the ball hard, which is encouraging. Elizabeth is having good at-bats. I think the 3 of them at the top of the lineup has just, you know, pressed everybody else and just to scratch and claw a little bit more and find ways to produce. And then obviously the mound has, you know, had its ups and downs for us. So getting to see them lock in and kind of buy in as, you know, their roles on staff and just that we're going to pitch by committee and, you know, do your job in that given day. And that's all we can ask for. Just do it to the best of your ability, and we'll live with the results on the other side. So just continuing to lean into that, and then as well as defensively, you know, we had some really good plays. Sienna, again, had some phenomenal plays at OU. I mean, we all know OU hits the ball really hard and called her like little flying squirrel out there, but tiny and mighty she is and not scared. So great to see that. You know, Lepardo threw out a runner. You know, Audrey behind the plate, throwing out some runners. Val just leading behind the plate. Sav made a couple of good plays at shortstop. So we have some good things that have been happening, and now they're finally starting to all come together. And like you said, just at the perfect time, just as we're going to start conference.
And going a week without playing those games, talk about trying to find that balance of being able to get them a little bit of rest, recovery period, but also trying to kind of stay on it and trying to keep that momentum that was earned at the end of that trip.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it kind of worked out the timing wise. Obviously, we played on Thursday. You travel back. You know, they had off Friday, Saturday. We practiced yesterday, practiced today. They'll do like more of an academic light day tomorrow, and then back at it hard on Wednesday, and then prep for ETA on Thursday, and we'll, you know, go back at it on Friday and Saturday. So actually, I think the timing worked out perfect.
And you start conference play against UTA. What are some of the things that you're hoping that your team's going to take out of that tough non-conference schedule and bring it into the WAC?
Yeah, they've seen the best. You know, I think besides Tennessee, we've played the top 5 teams in the country and then some after that. So I do think that they've seen the best of the best, and there's nothing that's going to be, you know, they have nothing to fear. No one's going to be better than what they've already seen, and not saying that it's all going to be given to them, and I told them that, but they're more than prepared, and they can go out and attack and just have a lot of confidence knowing that they've seen what they've seen and being able to adjust and respond appropriately. And so just even talking to them yesterday about the game plan going into this weekend, it was just cool to see the smile on their faces because they're like, oh yeah, like we got this, you know, or, you know, you turn the machines on and, you know, I have it cranked up to whatever speed and they're like, that's not what that looks like, because they've seen it in real life, you know, and they've got to experience it. So that's the exciting part. And I think that they're eager to get after it because they know, returners specifically, like this has been the goal since the end of last last season is to get to WAC and finish better than we did last year. And then the newcomers coming in, they know no different than the goal is, to win the WAC championship in some form or fashion.
And the fact that you have so many new players on this team, so many new faces. They got thrown in the fire, like you said, with some of the best teams in the entire country.
Yeah.
Then you go into the WAC and it's a little bit different. Was that kind of the game plan of, okay, like you've seen the best. This is in all due respect, this is nothing compared to your Texases, your OUs, all those things.
Yeah, 100%. I think like I said, they'll be more than prepared and just excited to get to watch them compete, honestly, and against, for lack of a better word, somebody in our own level. And so UTA is a good team, though. I mean, they've had their ups and downs, similar to us in the preseason. So I think it's going to be a battle from the get-go.
And how important is it that you guys start WAC play on the right foot and pick up a series with them?
Very. I told them, there's only 6 weekends. That's the crazy part. We're one of the only sports in the world that play all these games so fast in the preseason. And then it's like after the preseason's over, it's 6 weekends. That's all we have left. We have a handful of midweeks, but the series of, conference are what matters. So it's going to go by quick, and just every game matters just a little bit more.
And with your team getting as close as they have, coaching against your former team is always an interesting time. Do you think that your girls are going to have just a little extra juice, regardless, to kind of get your back in the dugout?
I mean, I think I like to think that, but I don't really think about it. To me, it's conference, and it's our job to take care of business. And like I said, because there's only 6 teams in conference against us, every series matters just a little bit more, just because there's just not going to be as much give. And in the 4 years I've been in the WAC, we all know that games are first, second, third place are separated by games themselves. So it's just important for us to take care of business out of the gate.
You mentioned your older players have kind of seen this cycle before. Talk to me about how they led the team through a tough non-conference schedule.
Yeah, I just think they didn't get discouraged. I am very proud of them. They came out every single day as if it was, that nothing happened the day before, just continuing to learn, continuing to put their best foot forward. I think, like I told you a couple weeks ago, there was a big shift at Texas Tech for us, and just the energy and the leadership perspective. And then I think this last week, I mean, like I said, it was a tough week, but we did a lot of good things throughout the week, regardless of the score on the other side. And then to be able to finish with that win against Utah, I think it just gave everybody a sigh of relief. This is going to be okay. We are going to be all right. And that all of this is going to have a purpose in the end.
Yeah. And then, from the beginning of the season to now, do you feel like your team is on track to do exactly what you want to do through non-conference play?
I think so. As long as we can stay healthy and stay together and keep responding. And I think that is the cool part about having such a tough preseason, is that we've been behind a lot. We've been down a lot. And I've seen them fight back. And so they're not going to be scared of that. And that's the biggest thing you go into in conference, is a lot of times when you go down, people don't know how to respond and fight back. And I believe our team is completely prepared for that.
Yeah. And then you mentioned her a moment ago, but Ari Maxwell over the 300 line through non-conference play. Just talk about how valuable she's been to the team.
Yeah, I mean, just so proud of Ari, just continuing to grow. She's matured a lot, is continuing to mature every day, starting to think about her at-bats more. She's doing a good job for us in right field. I mean, just wants to be on the field, and that's encouraging. And I hold her to a high standard, that's for sure, and I will continue to challenge her in that way.
Did you have a feeling going into Thursday's game? Was there any feeling that this could be a different sort of game than what you guys had experienced?
Not necessarily. I just think that we were treating it, like I said, like a series. And so that was kind of the approach going into it, is, we don't want to get swept. And so how do we find a way to win? And then just, setting the lineup a little bit differently and hoping to produce a couple more runs than we did, the prior game. So, and they did that and put pressure on the defense, and were able to hold it. And I never felt that they were, tense in any part of the game. And that was a unique feeling, because we haven't been up a lot on teams, as I previously mentioned. So there wasn't pressure to hold it. And that's what I felt like was the most encouraging part, is that, they've learned that, hey, even if we go down, like I said, we can bounce back. So they just seemed very steady the whole way. And then we scored a couple of runs, throughout the game as well, which was encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, you're up 6-0 after the second inning. What was the feeling around the team of, this is happening?
Yeah, I mean, they were just getting after it. I will say, I think it, gave some relief to our pitching staff, and that, it wasn't all on them. And also the defense itself was just, I think, a little bit more like, hey, just get us plays, like we'll get outs for you. And ultimately that's what we've been, preaching to the pitchers all year long. Like just let them hit the ball and put it in play, and we can, live with the result on the other side and let the defense work for us. And so I think they did a good job of that.
Yeah, I mean, Leah throws 4 scoreless innings
Yeah,
of relief.
totally.
I feel like that's what you have been expecting her to do
Yeah.
since she got here.
Yeah.
And to see it, what was that like?
It was great. I mean, just see her fired up. That is the passion that I've watched her play with before. And, the changeup was working. Getting 6 strikeouts is huge, and especially in a relief appearance. So, and again, that alleviates some of the pressure on your defense and even yourself. And so just to give her that kind of confidence. And, we had a good chat in Oklahoma, just, responding to some of her outings. And so it was just, again, super encouraging to see her kind of have that happen and be able to turn it around going into conference.
One more about UTA. Just looking at their stats last night. I mean, they're one of the last in the country in throwing strikeouts per 7 innings. When you're facing a staff that doesn't throw a lot of strikeouts, like what does that tell you about them?
I just think that we can be aggressive, and I think for our hitters, like I said, I think they're more than prepared, and they know what good strikes look like, and for lack of a better word, like balls look like. So just being able to attack from the get-go, and just excited. I'm just excited to see them out on the field. I just think there's going to be good energy, and the fact we get to open at home is huge and protect our home turf, and I just think it'll be a good start for us.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. You've seen Najee Kennedy. I don't think anything else can compare to that. Even like about the game against or series against LMU. Able to win the series after dropping the first one to start it. Seems to be your theme this season. You've talked about it a little bit, but responding and being able to kind of deal with adversity. How good of a trait is that to have as a team?
No, it's. I think I'm proud of our guys. We got licked early in the week last week. We challenged them pretty significantly there going into the weekend. Friday ran into a really good arm. He was dialed in. I thought Brett was dialed in. You just get it back and forth, man. There was three half innings that a run was scored, and they happened to get all three of them. So I thought we played clean on Friday night. We pitched real well. I think Brett punched out 11. I think we punched out 14, only walked one. We're usually going to win those games, but their guy was as good. He was really good on Friday night, and so that's what we're trying to prepare our guys for. That's going to be a whack Friday night. Every Friday night starting our league is going to be someone that's going to be really good at what they do. So that was a good challenge. So those wasn't a great feeling, going into Saturday. So real proud of the guys. To get off the mat, play well, play clean, really do a good job offensively, get out in front, create some cushion. And then yesterday, you had the day to, there was elements involved, so that's never easy. It looks fun and cool at the end of the story, but it's a battle, pitch by pitch is just a battle. So proud of the fight, the way they finished the inning. We're just trying to figure out a better consistent approach across the board. And it starts mentally, probably. We've got some young guys now that have 20 games under their belt. We've got some older guys, hopefully now that we're 20 games into the season. I think the mind probably dictates the play certainly dictates the result, and that's what we've been battling a little bit up and down. So trying to play some more complementary baseball. So we've got 2 weeks to try to figure this thing out as we head into conference. We get to do that on the road, so we're home Wednesday, but then we're on the road at New Mexico, who's off to a really good start, and then we'll go to McNeese, who's traditionally strong in the South one. So I'm excited about that. I think it'll be great. We've had a lot of home games, which is always a win. That's what you want to do early in the year. Gives you an extra practice day. There's just a lot more things you can do at home. But man, I'm excited to get the group together on the road after Wednesday.
You talked about it a little bit, Brett. Really great showing. 11 strikeouts, but also goes 7 innings, able to save that bullpen.
Yeah.
How important is it that he was able to do kind of that, especially in a series like the one you guys had? And how good is it to see him have a career performance like that?
Yeah, no, I think he's been trending. But we're really conservative with pitch counts early in the year. There's some guys that are running dudes up 100 pitches the second and third weekend, man. We have yet to do that here. We are going into week 5, 6 actually. So it's that time though, and that's what I told him last week, and I told our team, like, hey man, this will be the week that Brett gets to go, and he did a great job. I think 7 innings, 96 pitches, and 11 strikeouts. That's when you're striking out that many guys. Sometimes pitch count gets racked up. So I thought he did it very efficiently and looked sharp. Which the last 2 weekends he threw 6 and then 7 this past weekend. So he's certainly trending. We've got to figure out ways to score for him and continue to play better defense for him on the backside of it. But if we can get those performances, I'm not asking for 11-1. That's hard. But if we can continue to get that length and the efficiency of it, then I think we're going to be on the better side of Friday evenings for sure.
And then you end the series, your offense explodes. 33 runs in 2 games, including 7 home runs. Some of them element aided, but I mean, talk about how good it is to see a performance like that from your team, especially after getting shut out the day before. Yeah.
Well, we've got TrackMan. So Diego's home run was 108, and yesterday I know the elements were play, but I thought our guys did a really good job. Zantz, no doubter to start the game there in the first inning. All of ours were pretty, they're going to go on pretty much every day unless the wind's howling in. There was one that left the yard yesterday, like 83 EV. It's like that's an unusual home run. But for the most part, I thought our guys did a really good job. Sometimes you get in those games where it's, just get the ball up in there and it's probably going to go. You can get off your approach pretty quick and start to do some silly things offensively. I thought our guys did not do that. On Saturday, we had a runner on base every inning. So it's just constant pressure, which is something we've been talking to them about is, trying to find different ways to create pressure, whether that's controlling the strike zone, the hit by pitch, stolen bases, dirt ball reads, extra base hits. Those are all things that we want to continue to pressure the defense with. I thought we did a much better job on Saturday and Sunday in that regard. So, and we needed it yesterday, with you just 22 is not even enough on a day like today. So, or yesterday. So, no, I was excited about their at-bats, the quality of it. It wasn't just let's put the ball up in the air and hope it lands on the other side of the fence type of approach. So, if we keep doing that over the course of the next 8, 9, 10 weeks, and we're going to be an offense that a lot of people want to face. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully we can continue to be the consistent part of that is what we're chasing right now.
On a similar note, in one of the games, all 9 of your starters in the lineup ended up with a base hit. How good is that to see that it's a deep lineup like you talked about that helps your pitching staff later in when they might be having to deal with those elements or something like that?
Yeah, not to compare them to Team USA or the Dominican Republic, but the deeper, like those two lineups, if you watched the World Baseball Classic last night, like those are very deep with a lot of players that can do damage or create pressure in their own way. We're not there. That's the two best lineups in the world, but that's what we want to work towards. It's just a 1 through 9, a 1 through 13, 15 mentality where it's about pressure, and everyone's pressure may look a little bit different, but the more you do that, there's just not an easy let down inning for the opposition, So if they've got to work, and Nick, who hit the 9-hole the last 3 days, is having a 29 pitch game. He's seen 29 pitches. Brady Gray, same, maybe not having the success that they want from an average standpoint, but what you look at the end of the day, and I think on Friday night, man, Brady saw 29 pitches. So like that's a lot of pitches for one player to see. Sometimes you get some stuff to show for it with the hit, sometimes you don't, but it's the quality of the at-bat that just keeps wearing people down. It's like chopping a big tree down, on Friday night, man. You just got to land as many blows early as you can, and we didn't get to him this Friday, but I'm hoping we'll get to him as we push forward into other Fridays, which is exciting.
And what kind of confidence does this kind of give your lineup that, hey, even if our pitchers, there's some struggles there because of external factors, we're still going to get their back? What kind of confidence does that give them?
Yeah, I think that's complementary baseball. That's honestly what we haven't done a great job of in the first 20 games. We would maybe pitch real well and not defend. Maybe we would swing the bats real well and just not pitch. Or maybe we would do the other two and not the third one. There just hasn't been a lot of what I would just say a clean game, a 7-1 game where you pitch it well, you have some timely hits, and you play clean on defense. So that's what it takes to win baseball games at our level. We knew that going in, so like, again, schedules, there's just not a team on our schedule to this point that we're just, we're going to win this game. So you don't show up and you don't play well, you're in a spot to lose. So, and we've done that sometimes, and just didn't play well enough to win. You can go back and there's several games. So we've got to figure that part out. I do have a lot better taste in my mouth after the way they responded to some adversity in the middle of the week last week. What a good week to be in our program, man. Like, there was some challenges going on. We just weren't playing the way to maybe the standard that's been established here. Not results like that. I think there's a certain way to play the game. When it's played that way, the results usually will follow. Not all the time, but usually. But there's also, when you don't play up to standard, results are going to follow that as well. So there was some challenges, man. I thought our guys handled them really well. And excited to start a new week with them today.
And then on the flip side, the pitching staff, how do you kind of get them out of if they're even in that of, hey, I made some good pitches, but the wind messed it up, or it causes a result that shouldn't have happened, kind of thing. How important is it that they flip the page there and look ahead? Yeah, no,
on days like yesterday, the ball's going to go. So it's don't hit the guy or walk the guy before the ball goes. Like, that's the key. I think we don't harp a ton on one bad pitch leaving the yard or one bad pitch, creating a double. It's how you respond to the next one. We actually have grades on how guys respond. So, like, If you were to give up a base runner, or there's an error, or there's a bad call, like there's an opportunity to respond, we could just call that a positive response percentage. So if you had 10 opportunities, you got the next guy out 7 times, you're 70%. If we play at 70%, man, we're going to win a ton of games. Our best pitchers here traditionally, they just get the next guy out. They don't let the last one affect the next one. And that's pretty code. Like, you can look at it. The guys that are performing better right now are the ones that just have an ability to move on to the next hitter. Easier said than done at times. But that being said, the last pitch is gone. So, a day like yesterday, to throw a 0 up, or you just got to keep the ball on the ground. But no, there was some really good takeaways, especially at the end of the game. David John, OJ, I thought did well. He was one of those guys. He gave up a home run, moved right on, got the next 2 guys out, got us off the field. We scored again. So those are big moments in games.
And now looking ahead, taking on UIW in another kind of
Yeah.
midweek. Taking on a team you played just a week ago so soon, and not necessarily get the result or play the way you guys
Yeah.
wanted to. How much does that help that you guys have played so close together and kind of, hey, this is how we're going to have to play if we want to?
Yeah, no, I think, well, one, it helps our coaching staff because we just scouted, did scout report last week. So honestly, that creates more time that we're actually today and tomorrow, we get to quote unquote self-scout our guys and have better, more in-depth conversations because we've been rolling, man. We've just been rolling. So hopefully we'll have some time today and tomorrow. Today's an off day, but tomorrow kind of prep for that and work on a few things internally. Another home games, that means we've got, a good opportunity for a good window of time for BP and stuff. Yeah, the opponent right now is the least of our concerns, honestly. Like, I think it's just competing better at the things that we can control, the things that we do well. Honestly, doubling down on our strengths versus really worried about some limitations at this point in the season. We just got to do our thing, our strengths better. Some guys that have been doing that are having great years right now. Some other guys that are trying to do a little bit too much. Yeah, that's a challenge too. So now this week's, honestly, getting to play them is great. We just played them in one sense, but I don't know how much that matters or affects this outcome of the Wednesday's game.
And then heading the road to New Mexico. You guys are still looking for your first road win of the year. If those are big factors, you're gonna have to win games on the road. How important is it that you guys able to kind of get that hump off your back and just pick up a win on the road?
I didn't even know that was the thing. How many road games have we played? 2 or 3?
I think 3.
Yeah.
So
No, we're good on that one. No, it'll be a good opportunity. I love the road. We hate being away from home for multiple reasons, but it is great for teams that get on the road and you're in the hotel together. We were in Claiborne, I guess, for the one weekend series, neutral site. But it was only an hour and 40 minutes away. We got to travel a day of. So this will be a little bit different. You work out on Thursday night in a foreign environment. I doubt many of our guys have been to University of New Mexico. Grant Watkins is from Albuquerque, so it'll be neat to take him back home. That was one caveat to the traveling up there this year with his senior year. But we'll be excited to go get that opportunity on the road, and hopefully next week we can talk and it's a different conversation. But no, I don't think that's a thing I wasn't even aware of. We'll figure it out though.
Obviously a big shift going into Saturday and Sunday. You moved Zant down from the 1 and Grant up into the 1. Kind of what sparked that, and then how happy were you to see their response?
Yeah, no, a couple guys as we were talking on staff, Blaze had mentioned just trying to create a little different flow, RBI situations. We've got some guys that are getting on base, maybe not driving in as many runs. So just trying to create, some different opportunities throughout the lineup. Man, facing Grant to lead the game off sometimes is, when he's right and going right, you got to pitch him right out of the chute, or there's some damage that can be done. So now there's part of that too, man. So he's done that a few times, over the course of a couple of years. But it was great to let him get on, and then just Zan just kind of slides down one spot. And he did have some opportunities to drive in some runs on this weekend, which was great.
Yeah. And then Grant, but also Diego with well over 400-foot home runs yesterday. Just talk about what they're doing at the plate that's leading to that success.
Yeah, we spent a ton of time the last 10 days. Again, when I mentioned our strengths, those guys, when they're in their legs and let the ball travel and get on time, and it's really fun to watch. just like anyone else, they can get a little jumpy and antsy and go for some balls that aren't necessarily the ones they can drive. So it's really just some zone discipline and getting on time to some fastballs, not letting pitchers get them out on what they want to get them out on maybe at times, which sometimes you don't have a choice in that. You got to hit what they throw. Yeah, I was proud of the way they finished the weekend, man. They, we're close. We've just got to get it more consistent, I think, in that world. So, they're off to some really good starts, and I'm assuming when we play whoever, they've got circles around those two guys as guys that, yeah, you better be careful, which is what you want to have on your team and in your lineup.
And then on Saturday's game, Brady Lattisaw just found ways to get on base.
Yeah.
He did some damage with 2 stolen bases. How have you seen him really commit to the program and develop over the course of the last 20 games?
Yeah, it's great to see young players. Sometimes the biggest jump is just zone discipline. I think going from high school to college, it's, man, can you just take balls? When it's not a strike, can you be self-disciplined of just not swing at it? Because that's the idea, the pitcher, get ahead with strikes and maybe try to make you expand late. So the better he does that along with everyone else in our program, the better our lineup's going to be, because then we're pulling pitchers over the strike zone, over the plate, because we know going into weekends, hey, man, you're not going to get this guy outside the zone. He doesn't swing outside the zone very often. So the better we do that, the best hitters usually, they just don't miss the ones that are over the plate. So now I was excited to see him, and then obviously, the run part, apply some pressure, get comfortable on the bases for young players. That's good for now, but it's really good for long term.
And then JT Thompson, one of those guys that isn't driving in a lot of runs, but it's just finding ways on base, sparking that bottom of the lineup.
Yeah.
How big has he been for the program so far?
Yeah, JT's a ball player, man. Hustle double yesterday, I loved it. Double out of the box on a ball hit the right field, and you look up and it's a hard 90 and it's pressure, and he's on second base with a double. So like those don't necessarily go on a box score, but like the morale and the momentum, those types of plays he made a couple really good defensive plays this weekend as well. We're asking him to play second and center, shortstop. He's moved around quite a bit here. Early on, he's hitting a lot of different spots in the order, kind of depending on the opposition and matchups and right versus left. So, no, we knew he was going to be he's a ball player. Man, he's undersized, but he plays a little bigger than he is. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He plays hard. He plays fast. He plays with a smile on his face. So he's a guy that's there's energy givers, and then there's guys that are just, guys that take it away at times. He's certainly one that just gives off this aura of energy, which we love having the guys like that in our program. All right, thank you, guys.